Hi folks, I'm back with another video. I thought I'd follow up my recent obscure country rock records with some more obscure country rock records. I'm going to see if I can catch anyone out with this one, because clearly my hyperbolic title of the last video didn't fulfill its promise, and that some people knew some of the records I was showing. Curse you! Anyway, let's see how you do with these ones. Yeah, as I said, country rock seems to be seen as just a small handful of records or bands, and I think it's much wider than that. And there's some interesting stuff out there, and I've got some more stuff to share. And I've got a few more. I've got a few more videos up my sleeve for this, but before I start to scrape the bottom of the barrel, as it were. Okay, so the first band I want to go with and show you is this. This is Silver Creek, and this is from the lovely bunch of hairy characters, aren't they? 1975. This is on Tally Records, which is produced by a subsidiary of MCA, and an interesting group, this lot. They were, I think, kind of discovered by Merle Haggard. In fact, on the back it talks about him bringing them into the studio. I don't know much about them beyond what it says on the back of here, really. But it's co-produced by Roy Nichols, who was the guitar player in the Strangers, Merle Haggard's backing band. And you've also got keyboards played by Mark Yeary, who was also in the Strangers. So it has that sort of authentic country connection, really. And it's a very, very strange kind of mixture. It has conventional country rock stuff that wouldn't be too surprising to hear from a band that looked like that. But then it does have some sort of Western swing moments. There's a cover of Merle Haggard's "Today I Started Loving You Again," which does have that kind of Western swing thing going on. But elsewhere, it does throw some curveballs, or a googly, as it were. It has some very odd sort of almost hard rock sounds, almost proggy in places, or maybe even fusiony. A very odd collection of sounds. In fact, it sounds a little bit in places like the kind of approach that Fairport Convention had with folk and melding it with rock music. And that's kind of a similar sort of thing here. One of the things that makes it seem a little bit off the wall and a bit odd is the fact that Doug Atwell, who plays a 5-string viola on it. So rather than being a fiddle, it's a 5-string viola, which gives it a very odd sort of sound. Not nice. That's not a phrase. Not something that you would worry about, but it does sound strange on a country record, especially when it's put through effects pedals like a kind of echo chambers and things like that. The main singer from the band and writer is a guy called Jack Daniels, and he would later in the 80s go on and join a band called Highway 101. I've got a couple of their albums. Kind of like a slightly more traditional but mainstream Nashville act. Yeah, and in fact the last track on here is probably the weirdest and least country rock. It's called Pizzicato, and it actually is kind of, as it says, it's sort of plucked strings with sort of echoed sound. It's almost classical. But yeah, a very interesting record. It doesn't always work, but when it does, it's kind of interesting.
I took a Sunday drive and I got lost in downtown Wichita. Heard somebody say, you better stay, you got to see the Mardi Gras. So I took off from Minnesota, from the suburbs of LA, till I saw that sign said 41 miles to the 17th of May.
Okay, so next up, I want to show this band. This is Santa Fe. This is their self-titled first album from 1971. This is on Ampex Records. There they are playing, and there's a nice gatefold with them. There they are, looking like great. A lot of denim, and hair in country rock. And this is, like I said, their first album. They did do a second album, which was on a smaller label, which is far more difficult to find. I haven't got a copy of that. One day I hope to. I've heard it said that they are kind of like Crosby, Stills and Nash with cowboy boots. That's kind of fair. The harmonies are definitely a bit like Crosby, Stills and Nash, but they've got a far more robust, rocky sound. A bit more like the Grateful Dead in places. They don't play any country music instruments. You know, there's no banjo, fiddle, pedal steel on it, but it's more about the content. It's more about the subject matter and the feel. It's the vibe, man. Almost like some of the Grateful Dead's material. So yeah, if you like a more rocky, robust sort of country rock, Santa Fe might be for you.
I've been running 7 days on the Santa Fe Trail, heading for the northern border. All worn out and ready to fall, the strangest words I recall. Running, running, game, and innocence was my flame. Life worth living and love worth giving. If you're not afraid to die. I was just a poor country boy trying to get by when a con man swindled me blind. I lost my mind and I shot him dead. What I did was wrong, I know that now.
Next up, this album by a band called Country. It was the only album they released in their lifetime. There is subsequently been a CD release of unreleased material. But this is from 1971. It's on the Clean label, which is distributed by part of Atlantic Records. So yeah, Country it's not quite what it says on the tin. It's a bit more. I would say it's ahead of its time. It's edging towards the sort of soft rock with a lot of piano ballads on it, but it's the kind of vehicle for performers and songwriters Michael Fondelier, I'm not sure if that's pronounced it, Fondelier, and Tom Snow. But it's a very interesting record. It shifts, like I said, it is for 71. It's quite early for some sort of soft rock elements. So it's kind of trailblazing, really. But clearly it shows the direction that Tom Scott was going to go in. I don't know if you know the name, but he would go on to become perhaps one of the biggest songwriters in the 80s and 90s. He wrote for everyone. I mean, the biggest hits I can think of are Let's Hear It for the Boy, which was in Footloose. That he wrote that. And he co-wrote I Don't Know Much, which was the song that, Aaron Neville and Linda Ronstadt did. So he's a serious songwriter, and you can hear him sort of trying out his songwriting chops really on this. But there are some more countrified stuff, and it does, unlike the Santa Fe record, it does have some dobro mandolin, pedal steel on it. So it does have the more country elements. An interesting fact about Tom Snow, actually, which does link him into sort of country rock royalty, was in about 1965, after Gram Parsons folded his folk group, the Shilohs. He formed a band called the Like, with Tom Snow as one of the band members, and they were kind of a garagey band. And after Tom Snow left, they actually then transformed into the International Submarine Band. So it was kind of like a precursor to that. But I can imagine how Tom Snow didn't really sit well alongside Graham Parsons. But there's some interesting stuff on this. It's a good sounding album, really worth checking out, especially if you like some sort of piano ballads.
Give my best to everyone. Tell them I was here and gone, and saying someday I'd be home. When you saw me, tell them I was on the run, searching for the chosen one, and saying someday I'd be home. When you saw me, tell them I was on my way. When you saw me, leaving at the break of day with the dawn light in my eyes. Take this to my brother Bill. He's the one who knows me well enough to know the reason why I'm going. He can tell the family.
Okay, the penultimate record I'm going to show is this White Duck in Season. This is from 1972. It's the second album by the band. Their first album, released in '71, I believe, is a bit more sought after. I don't have a copy of it because it's far too expensive for my meager pockets. But they started out as Jimmy Buffett's backing band. So I think on his first album in 1970, the band White Duck are his backing group. After the first album, the two main guys left, but they continued on, and they enlisted a young songwriter from Nashville called John Hyatt. And you can see, here he is. There he is, a young John Hyatt on the back of here. And this is, so their second album. The first one is a bit more psychedelic in places, a bit more swampy in sound, probably why it's a bit more popular. But this one's a great album, I think. It's one of those annoying covers, though. Black and white covers. They are annoying. It's got sort of textured the trail of the duck there. Anyway, but they are, by this stage, they're a bit of a sort of an amalgamation of the sound of the Beatles and the band. The opening track, actually, "Carry Love" by Don Koletsky, who was kind of left as the main songwriter. That really does sound like it could be a Paul McCartney song. I think it's more McCartney's side of the Beatles than anything else. That's the melodic kind of element, but it's also got a kind of a more rootsy sound that reminds you a little bit of the band in places. So it's probably sought after and known really because of John Hyatt's first appearance. It's the first record I think he actually recorded for, or was recorded on. And he brings two of his own songs, which he sings, which are both probably standouts on the album. You can tell that he's going places. He's got a great voice. He's got good songwriting chops. And this is where you first see it. But the track I'm going to play you, which I think is great, is called Firewater.
Here we go. You always could do what you should till you forgot about me. Don't try to land a family man. You know that I can't be. I know when I feel good inside and what feels good in me. I make a lot of trouble when I drink fire water. Still it's fire water for me. To lose the game I play, you need a king to make a full house.
Right, so I'm saving the best till last. This is Borderline, Sweet Dreams and Quiet Desires. This was released in 1973, and by my estimation, this is definitely in my top 5 country rock records of all time. It's an incredible record. If you like Graham Parsons and his take on country rock, you probably really like this. It has probably more than any other records I've shown. This definitely sounds like country, but it's probably what would later be called Americana. It's probably an early example of Americana. It's basically David and John Gershon and Jim Rooney. This was their first album. They recorded the second album, which was never released at the time. It was subsequently, I think, released in Japan on CD in 2000. And there is a very rare CD with this album and the second album on one disc. As I said, it is a great record. It's got a lot of connections here. They were part of the Woodstock scene in New York around this time, alongside Van Morrison and the band. And actually, it has connections with the band because on this album you've got Richard Manuel and Garth Hudson guesting, but they don't have their names on it. They're down here as, and I think it's them, Dick Handel and Campo Malacqua. I don't know which is, well, I suppose Richard Manuel might be Campo Malacqua, and Garth Hudson might be Dick Handel. It's also got Billy Mundy on drums, who was in the Mother's Invention, and you've got Vassar Clements on fiddle. Great fiddle work. It's a great. Oh, and Bill Keith playing pedal steel and I think some dobro, and he was with Neil Young and various other people. He turns up all the time, Bill Keith. Jim, the songwriting is great. The songs stand up so well. They are brilliant. Basically it's I think David Gershon. His songs are wonderful, and there are a couple by Jim Rooney as well. But I think David Gershon moved off after the sort of lack of success with Borderline to go into music publishing, which is a shame because I think if he'd have stuck at it, he'd have made it really with quite a lot of success. There are a couple of traditional tracks on here as well. Jim Rooney after this would go on to become perhaps better known as a producer, producing people like Nancy Griffiths, Irish Dement, John Prine, Townes Van Sant. So it's country rock royalty really going on here, or Americana royalty. So if you haven't heard this, seriously, check it out. It is a great country rock record, Borderline. Sweet Dreams and Quiet Desires from 1973. A lost classic.
I was raised in the city, never knew no one. Talked to a lot of people, they were always on the run. I don't know where I'm going, can't remember my name. If you see me coming, take me out of the rain. I went down 20 years ago, set on out to roam. If I knew where I'd go, surely would have stayed at home. Don't know where I'm going, can't remember my name. If you see me coming, take me out of the rain.
Okay, so that was Borderline. Thank you for watching again. For 5 more lesser known country rock bands. I hope you enjoyed them. As I said from the last one, I've got some more of this stuff, so I'm probably gonna do another one. Let me know which of these bands you liked, or any that you're actually familiar with. Have I not stumped you? Maybe Borderline. That could be Borderline. Anyway, so yeah, thank you very much. I will be back. Until then, bye bye for now.